Then we'll make you have an emotional breakdown. That's the goal.
Hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. Okay, so today we are going through our text analysis. We are continuing. We started our annotation yesterday. I just wanted to check, does anyone, before we get started on our annotation, yesterday I had a question. Yesterday I had a question that someone asked whether I want, whether we actually have time in our exams to annotate and plan. Okay. Now, I want everyone who can just give me, like a 2-sentence summary of what your strategy is for planning in your exam. So what do you do? How do you approach it? In any exams you've written, what is your strategy? I want to hear what you think. What are your thoughts?
So what I usually do, I'm horrible at typing, so I'll just say it.
That's okay.
What I usually do is I put pros and cons, and then I just put my ideas in bullet points and in chronological order that I would write in the actual exam.
Okay.
For both the pros and the cons.
So when you said pros and cons, what do you mean?
So usually it would be like positive and negative things. So if it was like an analysis or a comparative or something like that, obviously you're not going to make everything completely positive. So I'd list both the negative and positive.
Okay, but what do you think the goal is of a text analysis?
To provide depth to what is being said.
Okay, but do you think that the goal is to evaluate whether they have effectively engaged their audience, or whether they have been biased, or whether their argument is accurate? What do you mean by this pros and cons? What do you mean by that?
I suppose just a better way of putting it is just like, you know your quotes that that you use to like to provide context to what you're saying. I suppose all those little bullet points are basically the quotes, if that makes sense. What I want to shed light on.
I have no idea where my annotations have gone. Someone delete my annotations.
Are you talking about the documents?
Yeah, on the document. Just give me a moment. Okay, I'm just looking for my comments because I cannot find my comments. I'm sorry, I don't know. Did someone maybe, like, I think I gave you guys access to this, but I...
Well, I commented and I don't see my comments, so... Oh no, I see your comments, sir.
You see my comments?
Yeah.
Hey.
I'll quickly... Maybe you have the wrong drive, like maybe you... That's the drive.
Okay, let me go. Did you just paste it in the chat?
I pasted it in the Discord, sorry, Ash pasted it in the chat.
Not this one? Yes, okay, I see.
Doing your work for you and I don't even get paid.
Okay, I was reading, I made a copy of it called Annotated, but the annotated version didn't actually have the annotations on. Okay, so we were going through this piece. So I just wanted to say on that note, I have actually noticed with you specifically, you do end up having more of like a pros cons where you have like an evaluation of the text. Was the text effective? Was the text biased? And stuff like that. And the work of yours that I've marked. And that is not what we're aiming for in our text analysis. Okay? In our text analysis, we are not evaluating, we are not reviewing them. Okay? We are looking at how have they used language, form, and structure to address their audience. And remember that they've got a specific audience. Every piece has a specific audience. And how do they address that specific audience? And how is this technique that they've used, whatever the technique is, specifically good for that audience? What does it add to that audience? And also, how does it achieve their purpose? So you have to have a solid grasp on what the purpose of the text is and who the audience is. If you do not have that, where it says, did you understand the text, you will just get a really bad mark. Okay? Secondly, if you give me an evaluation looking at the pros and cons of what they did, saying, oh, they did this well and they did this badly, you're not going to get marks for analysis because that is not analysis. So an analysis of a piece, let's look at this specific sentence. I'm just going to analyze this one sentence out of context from the rest of the text. Here are some of the, I'm just going to look at this heading, which we can later use. So what to expect when you visit gorillas in Rwanda. Okay, so firstly, it gives us a place and a place name, okay, by giving us this information. It's provides a clear context for the piece. It is not talking about a gorilla sanctuary in vaguely, but this specific place. It is also I'm going to say the mention of gorillas points to the fact that it is an eco-tourism advert.
Okay.
Then I can also, yeah?
I just remember you telling us that, like, me reading that doesn't the marker not like that because you're pointing out something obvious? Like the second part.
Well, I'm getting there.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this is my, I'm providing some kind of information, okay? Within, I'm going to say here, lastly, I should have actually used some kind of structure, bit of structure, but the what to expect, because obviously in your greater piece you're going to look for more specific details and stuff, but here what I'm doing is I have limited myself and I've said the only thing I'm allowed to analyze is this title. So I am fully analyzing just this title, okay? And so that's what I'm currently doing here. So lastly, the what to expect assumes that the audience is already aware of the fact that there are gorillas in the... Should I do that? Yeah, gorillas is not a great word for me. No, I don't know why. And the mention of gorillas, great. The fact that there are gorillas in Rwanda, and it assumes that they are already planning a visit. This shows that the audience of the piece is not more casually browsing people, but rather people looking for specific information. Do we all agree with that? Now, where did I analyze here? And how? So do you see, I didn't say this was I could say a lot more about that. I could probably write a whole essay on this like title. And I mean, I have written essays on very short titles, but on this little bit, what I've done is I've said, okay, now what does this title tell us about the audience? Okay. And I could also say it is talking about a gorilla sanctuary vaguely, but the specific place. Now, here at this point, I can talk about the fact that it is an advert. Since it is an advert for a specific place, this fits with the text conventions. Okay? I know that seems simple, but I need, like, a lot of you do not know this. Okay? It is a specific place. It fits with the text conventions. What are the text conventions? I could be even more specific there. This fits with this is a little bit, I'm kind of getting carried away with this, but this fits with the text conventions as it
applies subheadings to the text so it organizes information.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm going to talk about the whole concept of subheadings a little bit later, but I'm going to talk about them in a grouped way and not just mention them as this one thing. But what is nice about this, what specifically is important about talking about this specific gorilla sanctuary in Rwanda, I don't know if it is actually a sanctuary. Oh no, it's not a sanctuary, it's just an area where there are gorillas. This fits with the text conventions as it provides the reader with actionable and specific information. I don't know so much about this comment, but like, forgive me, I don't want to spend too much time on it. So I might have rambled a little bit, honestly. Okay. So this is what we're looking for from analysis. Now, how someone might do this wrong. They might take this piece over here. The writer is providing a biased view of the place by only commenting on the positive feedback that they have received. It is unlikely that they have received no negative information.
Okay, but
that would be the wrong way to do it.
I was about to comment because you speak quite extensively on it.
Yeah.
So what we would do after writing that, we'd then say, I should look on Discord.
Okay, I'm gonna look on Discord.
No, I'm looking at the text on Discord because there's a little bit of stream delay. So then would you analyze the point you just said? So you'd go into more depth. So you'd say...
Firstly, I would say that the point you made in the first place was like a really irrelevant point to bring up. This is not history. We're not examining bias. You understand?
So would you just say, just delete it all?
Yeah, don't talk about this. If you really must, if you can think of nothing else, and you really have to talk about this, is what you're going to say. This is this bias is common in adverts and is expected. The goal is to get people to visit. Visit the area. The goal is to get people to visit the area. Therefore, a more balanced view would not necessarily achieve the purpose of the text. Here you have connected what they have said. Okay? But now my question is, is this a feature of language, form, or structure?
I would say it would be a form because it deals with convention. Like a convention for an advert is to be biased.
Right.
Because they want you to sell. They want you to go visit.
Okay, now you've mentioned this. You have spoken about the bias. Are you going to talk about it again at all in your text?
I mean, I would say if you're already in a sinking ship, just go with it.
No, you've mentioned it. If you talk about it again, you have to talk about it in this context. So you have to either mention it while you're talking about this, or just don't talk about it again. Otherwise, you get repetitive, you lose marks for structure, you lose marks for, like, you just kind of go nowhere. So a lot of you spend your whole essay talking about bias. And it's actually not a lot of you, it's like two of you. Two people in my class. You spend the whole essay talking about bias. And I mean, that's great, you are critical thinkers, but you are not going to get the marks you want just talking about bias. We are examining language and how language has been used to create effects. Okay, and those effects have specifically been created in order to achieve some kind of purpose and relate to some kind of audience. Okay. So I just wanted to talk about this planning again. The movable force said read the beginning and end of the text, then read all the questions to see if I can answer anything from an outside perspective, then reread the whole thing and answer. Okay. So specifically, I was specifically talking about a text analysis. So when we're looking at a text analysis, many people are like, oh no, you shouldn't plan. I think you definitely should plan. Even if your planning is literally just made up of highlighting things and making like keywords, you should be planning something because you need to be able to link your thoughts. Now, a problem that people have with text analysis is that they will just start writing and they will analyze. And then, oh my gosh, over here again, we've got a bias, so we're going to talk about the bias again. And we repeat what we said over there, and we end up having a 5-page essay of which only 2 of it is not repetition. 2 of the pages are not repetition. Okay. Then we've got it can't be a sanctuary. Okay, wait. Identify words, sentences, or phrases relative to the question, related to the question. Analyze and answer with correct information. So yes, it's just very important that you guys know what analyze means. I feel like so many students, especially those who come to me just before they write their exam, and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing, or I do know what I'm doing, I just need to check that I know what I'm doing. A lot of you come to me and you have no you don't know what the word analyze means. Okay? So, getting ready to see the gorillas. The walk that tourists take to the gorillas is an experience in itself, as it brings you to one of the most beautiful places on earth. Okay, so we've got some language that one of you would say is biased. But we've got some
descriptive.
Yes, that's the word. We've got some descriptive language. But it is not necessarily describing the scene, so it's not creating that scene. It's creating this idea of it is super cool. It is
nothing in the world
one of the best.
Yeah.
So it creates a desire.
What would you call that feature? Like where you say one thing, but it's actually supposed to do something completely different.
I don't know.
I swear there's a word for it, but I
probably. It's like a word for everything, but I don't know every word. So,
how dare you be an English teacher?
So it creates a desire in the reader to visit the place, and Just give me a second. So it creates this desire for the reader to visit the place, and it makes it adds to the attraction. Now, something I want you to note is all the ways. I don't know why my browser is so slow. It's probably because I'm running a script in the background. So something that I think if you go look at the description down below, you'll find the exam paper that we're working with.
Yeah, it is in the description.
So it creates a desire in the reader to visit the places, adds to the attraction. So something I want you to note is all the ways that they have used language to attract the reader. Okay? So the reason we're looking for this is because we want to keep everything together. We want to group our information. I don't want you to talk for for like 2 sentences about how this creates a desire to visit the place, and then say something else, and then say again, this creates a desire to visit the place. Just put all the ways that they have used language, so all the things that they have done to create that desire. This is one of the few remaining tropical mountain forests located on the deep slopes of the Virunga volcanoes. So what they've done here is they've created almost like a... They've said this is a special place. And the idea that it is one of the few remaining speaks about the need to preserve.
Actually, about that point, let's just say I was also analyzing and comparing it to this whole text. Would I say that it forms like I don't know, yeah, if it forms a lexical field with the whole text, because throughout the text they speak about gorillas and how rare they are and how, you know, this place is very rare.
Yes. That's great. So we can say something about a lexical field regarding conservation. Now, if we're going to talk about the lexical field regarding conservation,
we have to use evidence, right?
We have to use evidence. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to use evidence. The next thing we are going to do is we are going to say, okay, now why is it relevant? Why have they used this? They've used this because it is on a conservation website. And it furthers their cause of gaining support. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just looking at the chat. Okay, so tropical mountain forests. Okay, we carry on with that. Are spread out everywhere among the 5 volcanic mountains. There's Karisimbi, Besoki. I don't know how to pronounce these things really. Sabino, Dahinga, Muhabura. So depending on which group you're going to visit, your itinerary will differ. Heaven on Earth memes, if you want to message me, I don't know if you can. Then you can, like, I'll help you with, like, if that random node is okay with it, I will give you the Discord username. So depending on which group you're going to visit, your itinerary will differ. So again, we have this focus on what you're going to do. So it is a focused okay, so we've got this focus on what you're going to do. And this relates back to this part. I just want to point out here that in this first part here, we've got this bit of like information about why this place is so great. And then it gives some specific information. And here we've got why this place is so great. Then we've got some specific information. Okay, and only then do we hear about our itinerary. The walk to reach a guerrilla group can take from 1 to several hours, but no matter how long it is, the end result is always amazing. Okay, so here we've got this point where, in terms of structure, they have mentioned so in terms of structure, they have mentioned that they're in the sentence, a challenging task, then followed up with the fact that it is rewarding. Okay, now, why did they do this? Did this to inform the audience, but ended it with encouraging them about it being worthwhile. Because you don't want to go, they don't want so they don't want their audience to be surprised by the difficulty. So they are being upfront about the difficulty of the task. You understand? Okay. I think my has like totally just frozen.
What's frozen?
Okay, there we go. My edge was frozen. I just need to stop the script. I don't know how to.
You press the stop button.
No, there was no stop button. There was no stop button. Like running furiously.
What do you call it? Task manager?
I didn't want to end it. I didn't want to end the process completely and lose my progress because I wasn't sure whether it was saving the progress of the process that was. Okay. So expert guerrilla trackers always lead the way as they detect and follow guerrilla traces from the last spot where the designated guerrilla group was seen. These traces can include hand and footprints, bent vegetation, remains of plants, and the guerrillas have eaten and other signs. Every small detail is investigated as the trackers determine the guerrilla's direction. So here I feel like we're talking about the expertise of the trackers. I'm just going to note that was also mentioned in last section. Not the specific trackers, but the expertise of people. Okay. It's not possible to predict how far the gorillas have moved from the previous day or what direction they've taken, so patience is definitely a good state of mind while following trackers at this time. But sooner or later, they will find the group they are seeking. Okay. So again, this almost feels like not quite a warning, but I'm going to call it a warning because I don't quite know what else to call it. But challenges may arise. And now, why is this important? So I want you not just to say that, but I want you to say why. Why is that important? Because they want to inform. They are creating an advert, but they need to inform.
Well, I would also say that the reason why they bring it up is because they want, I suppose they also want people to visit who can actually visit. They don't want people who are, they just want to go because social media tells you it's cool. They want to go because they have a personal connection with it or something.
Yeah, I would say maybe it thins out their audience a bit.
Because although they want people coming, they don't want people that'll be useless or that just say they're coming.
Okay, so they want people to come so that they can get the correct visitors.
And would you then say this is also a convention as long-form text types or long-form adverts allow you to go this in depth and
great
and give more information so that audience can be identified a bit better. Not too sure about that last part, but
so it allows you to go into detail and be specific about more aspects of the product being sold. Okay. Just wait for that. Google Drive. Okay, there they are. Okay, so we've got this. What was our actually say? Okay. Okay. If I look at my first title, what to expect when you visit the gorillas. So you're not here yet. Now, getting ready to see the gorillas. So we're here, but we haven't quite explored the place yet. Then we've got, yes?
I think I know what you're going to go towards.
Yes.
Are we now going to say all the subheadings, the first three subheadings have a sense of chronological order. So when the reader or when the viewer is reading out the long form advert, they are more likely to continue as they feel like as the reader feels as though there is a linear path, or there is
Yes.
there is linear progression while reading, as there are what do you call? They're not destinations. They're like points. It's like I don't know what you call them.
Okay, so the subheadings, I should have said subheadings, but editing stuff is just. So the subheadings follow a chronology as it takes the reader through a linear progression. Okay, I've said as again, I shouldn't. It's an issue in as they move from getting prepared to actually seeing them. Now, something I'm just going to note here. I'm going to just note that I can probably expect a call to action at the end. Partly because of this structure and partly because of the conventions of this text. Okay. So the first sight of gorillas is unforgettable. So again, they followed the same pattern where they give this moment of experience. Inside the intense green of the dense vegetation, you'll see dark shapes as you go closer. So they're describing the scene. Why are they describing the scene for us? It takes a few seconds to realize that these shapes are wild gorillas, right there in front of you. Amazingly, they are perfectly calm. The gorillas may glance at you at first, will quickly resume their normal activity. So this really puts you in the moment.
It's like a penultimate ending, so it's not the. It's like the ending of the climax, and not the penultimate. Like after the so the climax has happened, and now we're on to the boring stuff, like all the tips and things that wouldn't really engage the viewer unless they
actually want to take action, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But puts them in the mood.
So now we've taken our audience through a process and we've said, okay, now do you actually want to take action? Now, you will be impressed by the huge size of the adult male gorillas, reaching up to 400 pounds.
Body shaming.
They are called silverbacks because of the gray color of their hair on their backs. You will notice that the adult females are much smaller and do not have gray backs. If you happen to look into the eyes of a gorilla, take a quick moment. So this is tip 1. Okay? This is for people who are actually going to make... Okay, so actually... This is perhaps appealing to, sorry, I'm just waiting for it to load. So I think this is perhaps trying to quell people's fear. And they do that with structure, which I'm not going to go in depth now and how they do that. I'll explain, but I'm not going to type it out because I'm really irritated.
Can I try and understand your logic?
Go for it.
Now that they've finished this almost teaser, like they've kind of exaggerated a bit, to get the emotional high. Now they're switching the tone so that it's more realistic, and they're trying to now that they've had these people really on an emotional high. Now they're redirecting that energy to continue reading the actually important stuff that may actually save your life while you're on this trip.
Okay, so personally, I would think that this tip 1 is really, so after people are like, oh my gosh, they're going to be that close to me, they might be like, oh, that's actually really scary. So it is like, yes, this is dangerous. Don't make eye contact with them. Do look at them for a moment. It's fine if you look at them for a moment. So it says, okay, this is fine if you look at them for a moment. Enjoy this experience. So it talks about the positive first, and then it says, okay, but then it says, okay, now what to do. So you look at them and then you look down. And now it totally calms the reader. This says that you're not a threat and that they can relax. These gorillas are habituated to the presence of humans, which means that they are that they tolerate us without modifying their behaviors, seeing us as a neutral part of the environment. However, in order to maintain this peaceful setting, there are rules for humans to follow. So now we're just, yes, you are correct about them giving some actual information. You cannot be an absolute fool and go to this. Okay. Humans are asked to keep a safe distance of 7 meters away from the gorillas. This also prevents spreading any human diseases to the gorillas. If a gorilla moves closer to you, you stay still, let him pass by. If you happen to be standing exactly where the gorilla wants to be, just give him the space and let him move as he likes. The gorilla approaches you and then sits down. You should slowly move away. Resume the 7-meter distance. So it's given some helpful tips here. Now, spending time. Now, this usually means that there's been some kind of break. It's like the next part. Spending time with mountain gorillas is truly one of the most memorable wildlife experiences on Earth. Being in and amongst a gorilla family is sure to create memories and impressions that you will never forget. Okay, so we're using quite emotive language here. We're appealing to their own desires of what is the word?
Sorry, say that again.
What is the word, like desires for like excitement, but like new things, new experiences.
Adrenaline. Are they not adrenaline? Hold on, I'm the swole because I have it. It's on the tip of my tongue.
I'm just gonna say for new experiences. With only 800 mountain gorillas remaining, it is also important for tourists to remember their own behavior when they are with the gorillas to minimize any potential risks to the gorillas. This means maintaining the required distance. So here we've got this repetition.
The urge, the inclination.
There's a thing that ADHD people like. They like new things, novelty. The word is novelty. Novel experiences. That's what I wanted to. So this means maintaining the required distance. So we've got this repetition of the tip from earlier, emphasizing the importance. Okay. Then, for further information on responsible ecotourism and to learn more about visiting the gorillas, click here. So we've got this call to action. Now, I want to just note here that your call to action does not say something like book now. It says get more information. Okay? So this is a text convention, and it is not saying book now, but rather get more information. This shows that they want their audience to be informed about coming before they come.
And also
I just want to say, which can also be seen in these parts of the text. And I'm going to just put square brackets, fill in. And yes, what were you saying?
I wanted to say that it also gives it helps, it works well with an advert because it persuades the reader to continue because they feel like this Fosse Fund thing actually cares about them, so they're more inclined to go read more because they feel as though they are more special because of that.
Can I like I'm going to create, I'm just going to post a link to the server, like a temporary link to the server. Moment. There we go. Okay. Where am I? Scroll all the way. Okay. So, oh my gosh, reader feels as though sorry. Can also see in these parts of the text. We can say reader feels respected and is more likely to support the organization in other ways as well. This piece also creates okay, so I'm saying this piece also creates a desire or interest in conservation. And then you're going to put okay, so these are all things that we can talk about. Okay, are we all good with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Trying to add this comment. I have it on. Okay, so from there, how are we going to structure our piece? How would you say we should structure our piece?
As much as I wanted to say that, we put it in chronological order, so the first heading and then all our different points that come afterwards, would you say that we would rather just go with the flow, just write whatever feels right to us?
I would say neither of those.
How would you do it then?
Okay, so every person is going to have their own way of structuring it. Chronological structure, the problem with the chronological structure, following the pattern of the text, is that you are going to end up repeating yourself. Okay? And it happens every time, without fail. I have never seen someone do a chronological analysis without repeating. Like, never.
Even your high levels, sir?
They wouldn't do a chronological.
Oh, I thought, okay.
Okay. Because structure is important. So since structure is important, we're going to look at, okay, if we look at these comments here, which of these comments can we put together? Which of them are related to each other? And how can we talk about them together? So some people might want to group all the elements of form, all the elements of structure, and all the elements of language, which is fine. I've personally never been able to do that. My brain just doesn't work like that because of the overlap between the three, because they all have, it's like a Venn diagram. It's not so much three separate topics, but they are related because they are all elements of language. And so because they are so closely related, it makes it a little bit difficult. So how I usually, personally, like to structure something like this is looking at the effects, okay? This makes sure that I have actually thought about the effect that each thing has so that I don't do a thing called feature spotting. You might have seen me write feature spotting on some of your exams. Feature spotting is where you take a piece and you spot all the features of this piece. So you might say, they have used short sentences. So there are more things we can explore here. There are definitely some language features that I didn't explore, many language features that I didn't explore. I explored structural features and I explored features of form. There are a lot of language features I can explore. I can explore punctuation. I can explore the different parts of Lexis. I really can go all out with it. However, when I'm looking at these language features, I need to make sure that I understand what they're actually doing in the text. What purpose do they serve? Do they serve a specific purpose? Are they adding to the text in a specific way? How are they adding to this text? How is it making this text more interesting, more relevant to the audience? What is it doing for the text? Does that make sense? Okay. Yeah?
Sorry, can you repeat this, builders? So,
I said, what is it doing for the text? So every element that we have, what is it doing for the text? Now, how I like to structure it is instead of saying, okay, all the elements of form go together, all the elements of structure and all the elements of language go together, I say, okay, here we are trying to reassure our audience. Now, which way, what techniques have they used to reassure the audience? So they've reassured the audience with the way that they did their call to action. They reassured the audience with this tip 1 and the way that they structured that. There I'm speaking about a structural element. And looking at it like this makes sure that I've got everything I need, but it also makes sure that I am applying some sophisticated thought to what I'm doing. Now, very often, students with maybe a limited or clear response would give me you wouldn't really explore the interesting parts of the text. You would just spend the whole text talking about this keeps the audience engaged. Now, if you like the way that I structure my text, structuring it in that way means that you don't have this problem of every third sentence is this makes the audience, or this keeps the audience engaged. Okay. The audience engagement is important, yes, but you're not going to make your whole text analysis about that. So, for instance, if it was a political speech, yes, they do want audience engagement. They do want their audience to be engaged, but they also want their audience to trust them. They want their audience to feel reassured. They're trying to create some kind of feeling within their audience. They want some kind of response from their audience. A text is much more than just engaging your audience. For instance, if I had this whole live stream and the live stream was solely focused on engaging you all, and I didn't give you any information, I didn't teach you anything, that would be a pointless live stream. Totally pointless. I would be wasting your time and mine. If you want to be engaged the whole time, if you want to be engaged, if you want to be entertained, go watch a movie. Now, something I want you to note is that none of the pieces that you do in your AS exam, none of the pieces you're going to analyze are going to be like fictional pieces. Okay? Well, or more, they're not going to be narrative in form. So, as far as I'm aware, I actually did like a deep dive into the other exams. I do not, you do non-fiction pieces. Yeah, you do non-fiction pieces. And so, because you're doing non-fiction pieces, they're not trying to entertain you the whole time. They might have some kind of humor or something, but a lot of the time, the information is trying, the way that they're writing, what they're writing, is for the purpose of informing, for the purpose of persuading, for the purpose of motivating, encouraging, stuff like that. Those are all purposes. So someone I marked recently said that the purpose of the one piece that we did was to express. Okay. Now it was an article in a science magazine about trees. Do trees talk to each other? Anyway, so they said that these trees, the purpose of the article was to express themselves about trees or express information about. And that's not quite the vibe. That's not the point. When we look at purpose, we're looking at what is it trying to achieve? What is the goal? If we say that the purpose is to express, it is entirely for the satisfaction of the writer. So we could say express opinions with the goal of persuading the audience. Maybe that might be a way that we can use express, but you have to be sure about what you're saying. Okay. Now, in terms of introduction and conclusion, many say you don't need an introduction or conclusion. I like to add an introduction, and I only sometimes add a conclusion to a text analysis like this, because honestly, I'm just trying to get through the exam. I'm trying to get my marks for text. I'm not getting marks for writing beautifully. I am getting marks for writing clearly, writing in a sophisticated way, being able to communicate my thoughts, being able to elaborate on my thoughts, being able to connect my explanatory comments, to analyze the text with appropriate explanatory language. So I want all of these, and that's what I'm trying to achieve. So what we do, what I do for my introduction is I will always talk about the following: gasp. Okay, so I will talk about the genre, I will talk about the audience, I will talk about the subject, and I will talk about the purpose. Okay. I might in there some way talk about the register, but I always talk about gasp for my in my introduction. Okay. And then the way that you structure your body is totally up to you. You might want to, in your introduction, just kind of tell me more or less where you're going with your piece, what you're going to be addressing. But you don't have to. Just go straight into it. You don't have time. Just go straight into it and start analyzing. Okay. Just this annotation that we did today, I know it took a little bit longer than you have in an exam, but you can literally... So the reason it took so long is because I need to share my thoughts. If I highlight things, those thoughts are in my head. They're there. Okay, granted, I do have ADHD, and sometimes I do need to take notes of it. But those thoughts are there, and I need to remember those. Okay, I remember those things when I highlight them. And so I don't need to make these comprehensive notes. I might make like a 1 or 2, just so that I know what I'm referring to. Okay, we have 15 minutes left. I just want to open it up. Does anyone in our next session, which is going to be, I know you write exams next week, Wednesday and Friday. Next week, Monday and Tuesday, we will be having live streams on paper 2. I just want to open it up to you to come up with any questions you might have about paper 1, any concerns you have, any thoughts you have about the topic, and then we can address those.
Sorry, what did you say? The drills are going now.
Well, I'm opening up for the last 15 minutes of the lesson. I'm opening up to just have questions, any questions you have, any concerns you have about paper 1 or paper 2, just Q&A time. Any questions, ask, go for it.
I'm good.
Good.
So the paper 1 will always be the writing an extract and then analyzing the piece that you just wrote, and then obviously the 25 mark analysis. That'll happen for all the paper 1 papers.
So you're analyzing. Remember, you're not just analyzing the piece you wrote. You're comparing the two. You're comparing the original.
Yeah, compare.
Yes.
So for this year as well, it's the same.
This is exactly how And then paper 2 is always going to be question 1A is going to, they don't give you any text to read in your paper, but they're going to say, okay, this is a thing that happened. Someone came to your school and spoke about a specific topic, and you need to write about, write a journal entry, something, or a letter to the president, a letter to someone about how that impacted you. You might write a journal entry about the impact it's had on you and how it made you grow as a person. Then you're going to write a reflective commentary, and your reflective commentary, that's your question 1B. Your reflective commentary is kind of like an analysis, and it does use a similar rubric to your text analysis. And it does require you to look at language, form, and structure, but it says, however you use linguistic features to achieve the purpose. And so, or to achieve the task set. So in order to do that, you need to, I would say, start with in your introduction by explaining what were the requirements of the task, and what was the task set, what was the purpose, and then you explore, okay, how did you use language, form, and structure to achieve the specific? So, for instance, if you needed to write a diary entry, the purpose was for self-expression, for processing your thoughts, for that might be the purpose of a diary entry, depending on the task. And so, if that's the purpose, then you're going to say, okay, well, I did this using more personal language, using a more casual register. I did this using the way that
So with the reflective commentary from paper 2, question B, you're basically grouping your form and structure with language, or so both the two things have to have some piece of language in them, instead of just like what you would in your normal analysis, writing all three or writing each one separately.
Oh no, you can write them separately. The point is that you basically just need to prove to the person who's marking your paper that you made intentional decisions with language to achieve the purpose. They want to know that you did it on purpose.
Okay, that makes more sense.
And the reason they want to know that you did it on purpose is because it shows them that you really do understand the aspects of language, form, and structure.
Can you please send me like some videos on reflective commentary? Because while I understand what you're saying, it's just, more in depth than like a basic explanation of what, 10 minutes can get me.
Yes. I don't know if I've got a video. I can look for one. Got this one. I've got this thing. I don't know if you all have the learner guide.
The learner?
The learner guide subject. I'm pasting it here, and I'm pasting it in the chat, the live stream.
The learner guide, the syllabus.
No, the learner guide, let me move it to the side. So the learner guide actually tells you things, like gives you some advice for each question. So here it specifically looks at
but this seems to be the 2019 one.
Yeah, this is the 2021 one. What I've got open here. For examination from 2021.
Yeah, for examination from 2021.
Okay, so we've got this. It tells you all the things that you've got in each paper. So, like, how I go on and on about the need to read different things and none of you do it. These are the things you need to understand. You need how to use all of these text types. but I specifically wanted to show you this reflective commentary example. Yeah, specimen answer 1B. I decided to write the text for my leaflet in the same chatty style as that used in popular magazines, which are aimed at teenagers, giving a light-hearted and humorous feel to the text whilst offering serious messages. My reason for the humor was to attract and maintain the attention of the target audience of older teenagers. So I've got a very clear conception of who my audience is. I've got a very clear conception of how I've used language to do that. On the other hand, I felt that the information and advice the leaflet was offering needed to be sensible and worthwhile. The original instructions had come from the head teacher. Therefore, he also needed to approve. Okay? So there, I'm also understanding that there's this audience of the head teacher as well. The structure of the leaflet is set into separate paragraphs to make the overall graphology of the leaflet clear and easy. Okay? So we've used great language here. I use subheadings which have catchy titles, including ellipsis and rhetorical question, tempted to squander, coupled with a rhyming imperative, try not to squander. And alliteration, eating like Einstein and tickety-tock, as I felt that they needed to match the overall style of the writing rather than just state healthy food, for example. So saying, I chose this instead of this because this has a better effect. At the top of the third paragraph, which would seem too formal for the writing style I chose. I use second person address throughout to create an intimate relationship between writer and audience. I wanted to enhance this by creating a very informal register with flattery like congrats and colloquial terms such as JK, yay, and peace, which were used to position the reader as an equal. The inclusion of zip code, that is set out to resemble text speech. Independence is set out to resemble text speech, which also lowers the level of formality and is in capitals to imply shouting and excitement. So we have explored all aspects here. My sentence structures include snappy fragments, so congrats, with the low register discourse opening the lead, but more complex sentences containing the more serious messages, such as keep a track of everything, paragraph 2, which is in paragraph 2, are positioned inside each paragraph. Do you see how they are exploring different aspects within each paragraph? Now, some of you will write a paragraph and explore like 30 different aspects in a paragraph. If you change the topic, please change the paragraph when you're trying to explain something. Are positioned inside each paragraph. Hopefully, this juxtaposition of structures acknowledges the fact that the leaflet is meant to appeal by being humorous while containing meaningful information. Some of the features I used were intended to enhance the feeling of excitement about going to university, therefore too posh to look after your dosh, or in too much of a daze to save. Include rhyme on posh and dosh, and assonance in daze and save. Inside rhetorical questions with ellipsis to create an interesting rhythm. However, I also used hyperbole in super high and astronomical to reinforce my warning about eating free. By combining these features, I wanted to give an overall impression of everything that going to university might mean, which should be an exciting but maybe also tricky time for young people. On reflection, I feel that I have achieved my aims in my writing. I wondered at first whether I had chosen too many colloquial features and not enough low-frequency lexis or formal grammatical structures, although when I considered that my main purpose was to get teenagers to read. When I read through my writing, I felt that I had a good balance of informality of style and formality of
Okay, but I highly doubt a lot of people are going to be able to write that well in 2 hours.
I agree. I mean, 2 hours, that's... To be able to write that in 2 hours would take a miracle, especially for people like me.
So the point is that this is an outline. You look at okay, what are the things they did well? So I've given you this PDF. Look at what did they do well? What are the things that they achieved so that you can understand. The point is not to copy what they're doing. The point is to do your own thing and make sure that you are using the correct things. So do you see how this is a totally different vibe to text analysis in paper 1?
Well, yeah, because you're writing about the thing that you did. So you have a much better understanding of what you did than analyzing someone else's work where you don't know his thought processes and what he was going through when he was writing that.
Okay. So the trick is to make sure that one of my students calls it, can't remember. Words are not my friend today, but one of my students says that you leave little gifts for yourself in the question 1A. So you're basically justifying, someone says, you're basically justifying your reasonings as to why you've made certain language choices to achieve the task. That's really what you're doing, okay? In art, in matric, we had to, like with every artwork, you had to do a thing called a reflection. And you had to basically explain why you made each decision you made and how this achieved your purpose. Because art is not marked on whether the person thinks it's attractive, but whether it achieves your purpose. Okay? And so we had to do that. And I mean, I ended up getting an average of 95% in matric for art because I was very good at, okay, so I am good at art, but I was very good at like justifying why I did things in art. Even if I didn't make that choice intentionally, I was like, well, I did this. So now I need to come up with some reason that I did it. And that's kind of what you're doing. I do hope that you do make decisions intentionally, but I know that not all of you make decisions intentionally. So that is a thing as
well. Like you were saying, you're good at thinking on your feet, right, sir?
Yeah, I am quite good at thinking. Okay, cool. So we're going to have another live stream on Monday. I'm not totally sure about the time yet. So I will confirm the times. We'll keep an eye on the YouTube, keep an eye on our WhatsApp groups. And for those who are writing on Monday, good luck.
Best of luck to all of those who are writing on Monday.
Wednesday, but yeah.
Yeah, but no, some of them, some people are writing like maths on Monday or something.
No, that has to be some weird people, man.
I don't know. I was quite sure that Isaac Wiggs is writing something.
I think it might be something else, but I don't keep track of anyone else. So.
It could be either physics or chemistry.
Okay.
Not
Cool.
chemistry.
I don't really know either.
I will see you all next week or chat to you next week. Okay.
That's your
Okay, thank you as always. Sir.
If any of you have questions, send me a message. You know what? For those who are not my students, what I'm going to do is, do you guys think it's like dodge to put my Discord username on this thing so that people can send me a message?
Or on Discord.
Or should I just put my email address maybe?
It's a bit more formal if you use your email address.
Yeah, but like, do you know me? Like, am I a formal person?
Well, you gotta appear to be formal sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, who's my target audience?
Desperate parents.
No, my target audience is you guys. My target audience is my students.
Well, how the hell do the students pay?
Oh no, the parents pay, but if I don't connect with the students, then I'm not going to have students. So it's the parents who say, it's the students who say, you know what, I really love lessons with Marinus, and then the parents are like, oh, okay, I think we can refer Marinus on to this person as well. Because I get a lot of my work from referrals.
That is
My mom got your referral from another parent, so, and I'm actually glad she did.
I'm glad. Okay, cool. I'm ending the stream now. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for your hard work, sir.